something I've been fascinated by ever since I was a kid is objects. These things that we find or stumble across or use, whether it was playing on the playground and finding an old arrowhead, or just finding some trinket that became an essential part of my life, or if it was a toy when I was a kid or something like that. And since I've become an adult, the reason why I continue to be intrigued by artifacts like this is the stories that they tell. If it's a watch that is passed down from a grandfather, or if it's a jacket that someone got from their dad, etc., etc. The person is the most important thing, but the objects can remind us of a person or remind us of a thing or a time and a place, and I think that personally is really cool. So if we haven't met, my name's Riggs, and this is my everyday carry. So I kind of want to skip past the boring stuff, frankly. I mean, we've all got phones. Most of us use iPhones. This one's a couple years old. It does the job. Not really concerned about that in particular. But something that I am concerned about are the tools and how I use them. So my phone I use for obvious things. And I may be a little late to the party, but I did just get AirPods this year. And these are just the super simple 4th gen, non-noise canceling because I'm cheap. And I've had other headphones and stuff, and they did the job fine. I've started being on more video calls and things like that recently, and so these have made my life a little bit easier. I'm a big podcast listener, and so I really like listening to podcasts or something like that when I'm just doing chores like cleaning up, or if I'm cleaning up down here in my studio or whatever it may be. So these have been well worth the price of admission. I think they're pretty much more affordable than they've ever been. These are the brand new model, and they're only like $129 or something like that, $119 maybe on Amazon. So pretty affordable, low barrier to entry. Again, I'm a musician. I've got good headphones for when I need to listen to stuff with a higher quality sound. And these are still great. I think they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But I didn't opt for the Pros or the more expensive noise canceling versions just because, frankly, I don't want to have to use headphones all the time. Don't always want them in my ears. But they have been nice for traveling and such as well. So those are the AirPods. Next up, maybe also kind of boring but simple, is my wallet. Now, I've always had a pretty big wallet up until, gosh, I guess about 10 years ago. I switched to a smaller wallet, and then just a few years ago now, I switched to a front pocket wallet. This one in particular is made by Bellroy. I'm actually fairly certain I saw this in a Peter McKinnon video for the first time. It's really, really thin. I don't even remember the model of it, but it's a little front pocket wallet. I always keep cash because you never know where you're going to be and need some cash, or your card not be working, or you not have service or whatever. So I just keep about $40 or something like that in here. I keep all my identification cards and all of that in here, obviously. And in the front, I keep the only credit card that I have, which is the Apple Card. Now, I'm not Dave Ramsey, but I'm not a fan of credit cards. This is only for emergencies. Don't keep a balance on it, whatever. But I do have it up front also because, frankly, I mean, come on, it's a white Apple Card. It looks pretty cool against the black. So that's what's in my wallet. I also keep a spare guitar pick in here because I am a guitar player, and sometimes I just don't have one in my pocket and I need it. So that's a little bit about that. Speaking of guitar picks, I've always got guitar picks on me. I've always got a couple of different ones, kind of depending. This year I've been carrying and playing these honey picks a lot. I really, really like them. This one in particular is the Beekeeper's Stash model, and I have really enjoyed it. You can kind of tell that I have been playing it pretty hard. It's got some nice divots there in the side, so I probably need to talk to Rick at Honey Picks about maybe getting a couple more of these. I've got a couple other models that I really like too. This Kieranite I have been using a bit. It's a little bit heavier material, and again, really cool. And frankly, I still really, really like the old Jazz 3s, the cheap Dunlops. These are my favorites. These are just the standard models. Sometimes I'll use the Eric Johnsons or something, but any small red pick from Dunlop tends to do it for me. Now, a couple of other things that I have on me are not necessarily in my pockets, but they're actually on me right now. One of them is this ring that I picked up. I'm not a big jewelry guy or anything like that, but I have wanted a ring for a while. This one is silver, and it's like a green opal, and I got this after I saw it. I just really, really liked it. Kind of spoke to me. So anyway, that's all it is. But this is one of those things that I think maybe in years to come, people will remember me by. Maybe I'll have some stories attached to it. I've already had it on some pretty cool experiences that I'm excited about. And another thing that I really like, because it keeps me from looking at my dang phone or computer all the time, is a watch. Now this one's not anything special in particular other than the fact that it's mine. This is a Montour Skin Diver. I actually put it on an aftermarket straight link bracelet. It's a Sellita SW200 movement, so it's very reliable. It also just looks good. It's simple. I wear a watch every single day, again, for the obvious reasons of being able to tell the time. And for me, having a diver's watch is really cool because I'll actually use the bezel as a timer or something like that, so I don't have to set one on my phone if I'm grilling or something like that, where I don't want to have this thing out distracting me and don't want to be beeped at and maybe just don't want to break it and drop it or something like that. So the next thing I have, I know is going to be again unique to me and may kind of dissuade some people, but this is a tool, and it's the kind of tool that I've carried ever since I was a Boy Scout, and that is a pocket knife. Now, I've found that carrying a knife in a nice leather slipcase like this usually deters people that might otherwise be offended by it or get a little freaked out. And this one is from my friend at Notorious EDC. Tom is a really, really generous guy. We hung out in Nashville this past week when I was up there, and I came away with this. This is the Kingpin, and this is the slip joint version. It's titanium and black linen micarta. It's an absolutely beautiful knife, and because it's a slip joint for the uninitiated, that means it's like a grandpa style knife. You have to like fold it out twice for it to lock into place. There's no lock on it. There's no way to like flip it out really fast or anything like that. And I just love the blade shape. I love the size of it. It's pretty small and unassuming, and it looks really classy. And so most people aren't like freaked out when you pull out, again, an old style knife like this. So I really like it. I use a knife every day for just cutting strings off of something or by fixing something. And actually on a gig one time, we didn't have a way to like cut a cable, and so I had my knife, was able to cut it and fix the end of that cable because we did have a soldering iron because I had my knife on me, but we didn't have any like cable cutters or wire strippers or anything like that. So a ton of practical application behind carrying a knife. Now the last thing I want to talk about, which we're going to get into a little bit here, I'm not going to go like super in depth, but I have recently from my friend Tom at Notorious EDC, I picked up this pouch. This is his All Good pouch or AGP, and this is a really, really good size, and I have a couple of pouches with different stuff in them. I've got one that's like tech related stuff, and then this one I use for my tools. I keep this in my backpack, and this has saved my tail a lot, and this pouch in particular has made it a lot easier. So I'm going to dig into the contents of this guy. So the first thing, I've got a little Olight flashlight. The cool thing about this, it's got 2 brightness settings. Again, it's really small. I can just like slip this in my pocket if I need it. It's got 2 brightness settings, and it's USB-C rechargeable. So I've always got USB-C stuff, easy to recharge, battery stays forever. It's really, really great. This one has a back zipper pocket. In the back zipper pocket is where I keep some picks, and I also keep a drum key because drummers always be losing their drum keys, and my friend Zach gave me that one years ago. In here I've got some picks. I've also got some like little rubber washers that I use as strap locks, so I've always got that. I've got a business card in the back, not because people hit me up for business cards, but more just so people can identify this pouch as mine if they were to find it. So I keep some kind of identification in basically all my cases, bags, whatever. I bought business cards probably 10 years ago, and the information's still accurate, so it works out. Inside the pouch itself, I've got a lot of stuff. You can see here there's quite a few tools. I've got a lighter for all of the things that you might need a lighter for, which for me basically is just candles and burning maybe a loose thread or something like that. I've got another knife in here. This is the knife I was carrying before I got the Kingpin, and this is the Benchmade Immunity. It's a really, really cool knife, and has served me really well. It's been used a lot, and I just decided I'd stick it in here since I'm carrying the Kingpin every day. I've also got a black Sharpie because you never know when you're going to need a Sharpie. For me, writing set lists out in pen is basically impossible to view if you're on a dark stage, but a black Sharpie, that'll do the trick. I've also got half a carpenter's pencil here because I will use the graphite from it to lubricate the nut or the saddles on a guitar, which is really, really helpful. I've also got a little watch tool up here in case I need to adjust something on my watch or change the strap on the fly. Right here in the middle is just like a super simple multi-tool. It's got different size hex head, kind of wrenches and stuff. It's got a bottle opener. It's got a flat head and like a Phillips head sort of end on it, which is cool. And it was just small and easy to use. Could use it as a pry bar or whatever. whatever, and if I break it, oh well, not a big deal. I've also got a screwdriver over here. Now, this screwdriver in particular has a flat head and a Phillips head, flips around, which is really, really handy. I've also got zip ties because honestly, most of the time when I'm dealing with cables or something like that, I find that having a couple zip ties around can be really helpful just to organize something, or if I have to change something on my pedal board and move a substantial cable or something. You just never know when you're going to need them in a situation like that. I've also got a small set of pliers in here. These are Nipex Cobra pliers, so they're like 3.5, 4 inches, somewhere in that range. Really, really handy. I was shocked at how much I ended up using those pliers for different things every day. Now, I also have another little pocket in here where I keep a couple more guitar-specific things. I've got this little string gauge ruler here. I've had this one in particular for years. It's really handy. It's got a bunch of different measurements. You've got metric and imperial and all of that kind of stuff, and a bunch of different ways to measure guitar string action and height and saddle action and height and all of that kind of thing. These are pretty inexpensive, and I find for guitar players really, really helpful to have around one, so you know how you have your guitar set up and how you like it set up, and it just gives you a really, really easy way to do that. And the last thing in the pouch is this little bag here, which is pretty unassuming and kind of weird, but I've got some really high aught steel wool. I think it says triple or quadruple aught, so it's really, really fine steel wool. I find that to be really helpful because I have actually had guitars where the strings kind of develop a burr at the saddle and then I break strings. So I had one guitar in particular where this happened probably 3 or 4 times playing live in the period of 2 or 3 months, which is really frustrating. Turns out there was a really small burr that I couldn't even see on the saddle. I ran this over it and it fixed it immediately, never had that issue again. And a couple other things that I have in here, again, a couple small zip ties, again, kind of more for cables or if I need to fix something on the inside of a guitar, which is a whole nother story. And I've got toothpicks. Now, I don't have toothpicks because I'm worried about my tooth hygiene, and I probably wouldn't want to use these on my teeth after being there with steel wool and stuff. But these are really helpful because if you have the strap button pull out of a guitar, one thing you can do to immediately fix it, even if you don't have a bigger screw and it's like completely stripped out, is shove these guys in there, and it's basically wood filler. It's giving the screw something to grab onto. And this is actually usually better and safer on a guitar in particular than using wood filler. It won't necessarily work on every situation, but anytime I've had a strap pull out, these work really, really well, and they're, you know, basically fractions of a cent to have toothpicks. So real quick little tech tip in a way that I use this in particular. So that's kind of my everyday carry kit. These are the tools and the things that I use every day. I've also got a tech kit that I use, and I've also got one that's like guitar specific where I keep more guitar specific tools, string gauge, cutter, winder, all of that kind of stuff. So that's all for this video on my everyday carry. Let me know if you enjoyed it. I would love to make more videos like this. I love knowing what people carry, especially if they're guitar players and kind of in related fields to me. And I just think it's so cool to have things that you use and will have stories attached to them, but also having things that make your life easier. So if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. Let me know what's in your everyday carry, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. That's all for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.